Hi everyone, Dr. Davila, the Pittsburgh plastic surgeon here. I wanted to teach you guys a little bit about breast implant sizing. So many of you will come to a consultation with us and we use a lot of technology, specifically 3D imaging, to help size your breast implants. But sometimes either before your consultation, maybe you want to get an idea of what size you want to come in with, or even after the consultation, if you want to go home and try out the sizes that we've mentioned or sent to you in your consultation, there's an easy way to do this. There's these companies online that send you these rental implants that only go up by certain increments, and that's a little bit harder because the implant companies don't make even size implants, like by 50 cc's each. So what you can do is something very simple called the rice test. We can send you this guide. It comes from our practice, but you can also look this up online. Basically what you need is some dry, uncooked rice, a measuring cup, and it's nice if your measuring cup has milliliters in addition to cups or ounces because implants are measured in milliliters. And then some thin knee-high pantyhose, just any kind, doesn't have to be expensive. Some scissors. It helps also to have like a drinking glass to make it easy so you don't spill as much of the rice. And then a sports bra or almost bralette that fits you slightly snugly but not so tight that it's compressing your breast too tight. So what we do with this, and we send you over our guide, it has your approximate implant size, weight, and then the rice volume in cups as well. That can give you an idea of how heavy your implants are going to be and then how much volume you're looking for. So let's get started. You'll take your pantyhose out of the box, and obviously there's two of them. So that lets you, make two implants or mess around kind of with the sizes. You're generally going to kind of stretch the pantyhose and cut somewhere about 12 to 18 inches of pantyhose. And that kind of depends too on how much, full you're going to make the pantyhose or your implant size, but you want enough so that you can tie a knot at the end. I'll generally then sort of stretch it out to make sure it's easy to get the rice in. Then you're going to go ahead and take your rice and you're going to take your measuring cup. This measuring cup only goes to about 300 cc's, but it's a perfect one. We'll sort of simulate a 250 or 300 cc implant. So we'll start by putting about 250 cc's. Whoops, went a little overboard there. So you can put a little bit back in, and this is where the cup helps so you don't spill as much. But that's okay. We'll size for about a 300 cc implant, and you can see if you look at our table, that's about 1 1/3 cups on the kind of backside. This one says it's closer to like 1 1/4, maybe we're a little shy of it. We have 1 1/4 is about 295 here, and that's 5/8 of a pound. So that's how much your implants would sort of weigh. Then you can take your rice, and this is where the cup helps because you can put the pantyhose over the cup and then just turn the cup upside down, but I don't have a cup. So I'm going to do it the sort of hard way. And then what you want to do is kind of compress it near the bottom so it makes almost like a round little implant. And then you don't want to tie it too tight, like you want to leave some breathing room, but then you tie the pantyhose, okay? What's nice about this is you can see that it can form almost like the shape of a little implant. And so this is sort of what the implant will feel like or look like, but also when you put it in your bra, it'll conform to the shape of your breast really naturally, which is harder to do with those pre-formed sizers. Even the ones we use at the office are a little bit awkward because they're sort of already shaped like a breast. This is soft and will conform to your breast even if you have a little bit of ptosis or hang to the breast, and so it makes it a lot easier to kind of size. So then you just put it in under your sports bra, and that's how you can estimate about a 300 cc implant. And so these are pretty accurate to size. You can make little adjustments, obviously, by either untying your pantyhose or making a set of different ones. And you can see that if I'm going to make small changes, like let's say I want to go up 50, I just put about 50 more cc's. And this is super important. I think that when people come to our office for sizing, there's a lot of fussing a little bit about sizes that are less than 30 cc's, you can see that a 50 cc implant is 50 cc's in an implant is very little rice fundamentally. It's not nothing, but it's a relatively small amount. And if you take about a third of that away, this is what you're talking about when you're changing around 30 cc's. Can it make small differences to the breast? Yes, but it's not going to make major ones. Things that make bigger differences in those small volume changes are things like your profile or your base width that will create different looks to the breast. And that's why implant makers really only vary the implants by around 30 to 50 cc's anyway. So that's how you do a rice test. It's super easy to do and can give you an idea before you come in, kind of the size that you're looking for, and that can guide us too in our surgical planning. The final thing is people say, how much bra size is this, this little sock, or how much is the cc's? I think what's really important to think about is, see how this implant, this 300 cc's can be flattened out and become very wide, or I can keep it narrow and tall. That's important because the way cup size is measured in the US, or really around the world, is it has to do with the circumference, or how much projection the cup makes when you have a bra on. That's how the cup is designed. And so if you have a breast implant and we choose a more flat profile where there's less projection and the implant is wider, it may not add as much cup size than an implant that's taller and narrower. What that means is that for a given cc size, we can't always predict that. It depends on a lot of other factors, and while we can gauge that as best we can, there's no absolute way to know what your final cup size will be, and so we don't focus on that too much. In addition, companies like Victoria's Secret or other bra makers will change their cup size measurements based off of how they manufacture their bras, and so there's no absolute way to guarantee your cup size. That's what we'll say when you come to your consultation. So try the rice test at home rather than worrying about cup size, and that way you get the most accurate augmentation you're looking for and get the results that you've always wanted.